Imagine a single M1A2 Abrams tank dropped onto a medieval battlefield facing 10,000 armored knights. The knights gaze in horror at this metal monster that breathes fire and thunders from 4 kilometers away. The tank crew fires the first 120mm heat round, exploding in a blast that vaporizes 30 knights instantly. Machine guns unleash hundreds of rounds per minute, slicing through the front lines like a scythe through grass. Horses rear in panic as chaos erupts, spreading fear that paralyzes the knight's will to fight. This is modern shock and awe. Overwhelming force delivered so swiftly it shatters enemy resolve before battle begins. In this scenario, the tank triumphs unscathed, leaving the knights no chance to close the distance. Yet suppose they dismiss it as a hellish beast and charge forward, igniting a true clash of eras. The battlefield transforms into a storm of steel and fury, where ancient valor meets unyielding technology. What follows reveals the raw power of innovation against the tide of sheer medieval numbers. Night falls, and the tank powers down, its thermal sights glowing like spectral eyes in the dark forest. Knights stumble through shadows, blind to threats, whispering prayers against the unseen predator. A sudden flash erupts, thunder cracks, flames bloom, and the beast vanishes into silence once more. The field becomes a haunted woodland, where dread seeps into every heart, turning warriors to ghosts. Modern night vision grants the tank supremacy, a silent hunter in a world of candlelit terror. Each ambush strike echoes like divine wrath, eroding the knight's courage under moonless skies. This ethereal advantage forces the medieval force to question if they face man or myth incarnate. As dawn breaks, the toll mounts, proving technology's edge in the veil of impenetrable darkness. The crew inside remains composed, their tools turning night into an ally of calculated devastation. Thus, the tank's nocturnal prowess sets the stage for dissecting its formidable daytime strengths. The M1A2 Abrams weighs 60 tons of composite armor, powered by a 1,500 horsepower turbine engine. Its 120mm main gun accurately engages targets beyond 4 kilometers with precision-guided munitions. Advanced thermal imaging and GPS systems enable flawless navigation across vast operational ranges. Fuel reserves sustain continuous movement for hours, outpacing any medieval supply constraints. A 4-person crew operates seamlessly. Commander, gunner, loader, and driver in perfect coordination. Opposing them stand 10,000 knights in heavy plate armor, wielding lances, swords, and crossbows. Mounted on war horses trained for devastating charges, they embody the elite of chivalric warfare. In their era, these warriors represented unmatched prowess in steel and sinew on the field. Yet medieval blades glance harmlessly off the tank's impenetrable layered composite plating. Arrows shatter upon impact, and even close assaults yield nothing against this armored colossus. So, scaling the hull to strike feels futile, like children battering a fortress with mere twigs. Historical parallels echo this mismatch, as World War II Wian Solistotwerich Gantis. Tanks crushed Polish cavalry in 1939. Such disparities highlight how technological leaps render traditional arms obsolete overnight. The Abrams design prioritizes survivability and lethality, far beyond feudal engineering limits. Now, with advantages clear, examine the vulnerabilities that could tip the scales in prolonged strife. Tanks demand fuel, ammunition, and air filters. Inside, humans tire under unrelenting pressure. The Abrams carries only 40 main gun rounds and about 10,000 machine gun bullets on board. Against 10,000 foes, these reserves dwindle rapidly without resupply or external support. Each subsequent shot grows precious as stockpiles deplete, forcing tactical restraint. Mobility falters eventually. Halts for cooling or refueling expose it to encirclement risks. Medieval knights excel at patience, enduring sieges that stretch across weeks of attrition. The core question emerges: can the tank neutralize threats swiftly before isolation sets in? Terrain profoundly alters outcomes. The tank thrives on open plains for early detection. There, it functions as an unassailable steel sniper's nest, striking from afar unmolested. Medieval engagements, however, often unfolded in forests, hills, and valleys of varied cover. Dense trees impede tracks, while mud bogs slow progress to a vulnerable crawl. Steep inclines risk immobilization, trapping the behemoth in unforgiving natural barriers. Visibility plummets amid foliage, rendering thermal sights less effective against hidden foes. Knights adapt by dispersing. No massed charges, but infiltration from all angles on foot or horse. Concealed behind rocks and trunks, they encircle the tank in a web of opportunistic strikes. Undamaged yet besieged, the crew scans frantically, stress mounting toward inevitable errors. Knights employ diversionary cavalry waves, expending tank ammunition on feints rather than threats. This attrition strategy drains resources without direct confrontation, wearing down the isolated machine. The crew counters with shoot and scoot, fire a salvo, then relocate to disrupt predictions. By the time Knight commanders relay orders, the tank has already shifted to a new vantage. Hull-down positions exploit terrain dips, exposing only the turret for protected fire. From cover, it decimates approaching riders while the hull remains shielded from view. As foes close in densely, reverse fire retreats engage, backing up while hosing with coaxials. Proximity only amplifies the response's lethality, turning advances into fatal funnels. Echoing Agincourt's muddy fields, terrain can invert cavalry dominance into desperate quagmires. Time binds both sides. Reloading the main gun demands 6 seconds of vulnerable exposure. That's swift, until chargers close at 30 miles per hour, outpacing the loader's rhythm. 13 coaxial belts hold 200 rounds. Swapping them consumes 5 to 10 precious seconds mid-fight. Prolonged bursts overheat barrels, requiring swaps that further interrupt defensive cadence. Fuel capacity of 500 gallons yields 8 hours under mixed maneuvers before depletion. In the 14th century, no depots exist. Exhaustion strands the tank as a static target. Knights face parallel frailties. Daily rations demand 125,000 kilograms for men and mounts. Wagons, servants, and water sustain them, but delays breed hunger and faltering morale. Extended campaigns erode strength, transforming disciplined ranks into weary, disorganized remnants. Mechanical hazards lurk. Mud or debris snaps tracks, immobilizing the tank as a turret atop a pedestal. Still lethal but deprived of evasion, it becomes a predictable fortress under siege. Weather intervenes harshly. Rain churns fields to mire, bogging treads and fogging optics. Electronic glitches compound in dampness, while nights press on. Rain merely routine, as at Crécy. Fire tactics emerge. Burning wagons roll forward, shrouding vision in smoke to force repositioning. Not for destruction, but to compel movement into night-prepared ambushes and kill zones. A wild card unleashes, stampeding livestock herds, cows and pigs as thermal confusing shields. Blurring signatures with frantic heat. They mask true assaults in herds of deceptive motion. Onward towards. These layered pressures test the crew's endurance after hours of isolation and bombardment. Fatigue clouds judgment, where one delayed reload or misaimed burst invites catastrophe. Thus, variables converge to challenge the tank's dominance in this anachronistic duel. Verdict. In swift, open-field clashes without error, the tank overwhelms before ammunition falters. 10,000 knights falter distant, unable to breach the firing envelope's deadly precision. Yet rugged terrain, fuel exhaustion, or a snapped tread shifts momentum toward massed resolve. Numbers then assert themselves, grinding down the mechanical marvel through inexorable siege. So, ultimately, the tank secures the battle, but perils loom in any drawn-out campaign. Envision the knights shattering defeat. Charges met by friends dissolving in acrid smoke. This roaring colossus defies comprehension. No term exists for such a armored thunderer. They name it beast, miracle, or deity, a harbinger from realms beyond their chronicles. Tumbayin, Chatandad century tentisans, toured, reverence supplants rage, altars rise, murals depict its form in sacred illuminations. Kuturin, processions trail it, seeking blessings from the Iron Oracle's unerring gaze. The crew evolves from operators to oracles, interpreters of this era-bridging apparition. Such fusion illustrates technology's power to reshape not just wars, but worldviews. Historical what-ifs like this probe the fragile line between innovation and inevitability. Sartuhtin Praitojdusith. What if a Navy SEAL team faced 1,000 samurai in a similar timeless confrontation? Tudemuntide Suktus. Explore that clash next to uncover more echoes of progress against tradition's blade.